What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Wait, What Are We Talking About podcast, episode 92. My name is Bret, aka Enigma911, and today I am joined by a very special guest. I'm joined by Josh, aka Dark Stampede. Josh, how are you doing today? Oh, good. Thanks you. I appreciate you being on the podcast today, man. Especially with busy schedules, we had to flip flop around times, but I'm glad we got it to go down. I'm excited to chat with you about various topics. But chat, remember, you guys can catch this podcast live over on twitch.tv/Enigma9011 every other Saturday at 8 p.m. Eastern, unless we pre-record it or something else. You can join in the chat over there. If you're a sub, we'd love to have you. If you can't sub, that's okay. Just tune in. If you can't catch it live, that's fine as well. You can go over to YouTube and SoundCloud the very next week where it's broken out topic by topic and put as one big video and MP3 on the following Friday. And last but not least, hashtag ad merch store. You can get all of your swag over there. T-shirts, cups, backpacks, and more. Rep the brand. Support us. It would be greatly appreciated. Whew. Okay. Felt like I spoke real fast on that one. I don't know. So we're here for another episode. We got Josh on. I'm excited to talk with Josh about his art. Now, if you guys have been watching the stream for a while, you might have seen a few of his pieces that I've commissioned with him go around, whether it's for Extra Life or just in general. He's very talented artist. So, Josh, I just want to start picking your brain about art. I guess we'll start right at the beginning. How'd you get started in art?
Right. As long as I could remember, as long as I could hold a pencil, I was probably doodling or sketching something. I think my earliest memory of drawing was little stick figures, and then the epiphany of adding clothes to them, and then erasing the middle.
Right.
Clothes, and it just that fun little discovery from there, and just kind of keep going on and trying. What I do, it's just like I said, for a good while now, not to say my age or anything like that, but
nice, very cool. So when you are tackling your pieces now, is there a certain process that you'll kind of go after, like of making it the final product?
So it depends on what the piece is. Usually, lately, I've been doing a lot of commissions where they want me to kind of put them in kind of my Disney/comic book style. So everything always starts with a rough gesture or a rough drawing of just kind of get the idea down. And those I can kind of get done pretty quickly. As far as, I got a napkin, I got a blank sheet of paper and a pen, I'm all set. So I'll send out a bunch of rough drafts for the client to pick. Hopefully it's something along the lines that they are looking for. If we change anything, awesome. Then I make those revisions, and then once the person is satisfied with kind of the general direction that it's going, then that's when kind of the heavy work goes into. I'm probably drawing, if it's of the person, I've probably drawn them a good 50 times.
Okay.
To do different versions to make it close to them as I can in my style, without it looking too. Because you got out in the theme parks, you have the caricature artist. I used to do that for a hot minute, and that's its own style. But taking what I learned from there and trying to implement it into my style, it's always a process. But so I'll draw the person, good probably 30 to 50 times, and then once I get a couple that I'm happy with, I'll send it out and say, hey, what do you think? And then it's a lot of back and forth with the client. My mentality is I want to make it the best it can be, and I want you to be super happy with it. If you're not feeling it, awesome. What do I got to do to make it happen? So, but once the final line art is kind of set, then I go on to colors, and then if there's a background, if there's no background, and just kind of go from there. So it depends on what it is. If I'm doing like landscaping, again, it starts with a sketch to kind of feel out what type of landscape I'm making, playing around with it, and then from roughs, it's just building up on adding detail as I go. Kind of
cool.
So it's a lot of back and forth, and for me, the best way to go about it is have an open dialogue and communication with your client. If something happens, and say, hey, something came up, let them know. On the client side, if you're not happy with something, let the artist know. And then we can try to tweak it on our side. hopefully the way I do it is that way you're not at the finished product, and then you're like, hey, I'm not really
Right.
feeling that face. Oh, okay. Can we fix it? Yes, we can. But it would have been good to know on
Right.
the first stage versus, hey, we're here at the finish line, and no, you're doing a 5K and not just a sprint. So that's
Nice.
usually my process.
Yeah, I through our interactions, yeah, your communication definitely spot on. Like, feels good. Of like, this is the steps that we're at. This is what we're doing. This is the plan. So that's awesome. So you mentioned it with your answer, your style. You have the combination of the Disney style and the comic book style. What kind of shaped or that style for you, realizing that's what you wanted to create as your own?
So growing up, I always wanted to be a
Okay.
Disney animator. That was always something that was kind of, as a kid, maybe not necessarily instilled in me, but that's kind of like a, hey, that's what I want to do. That was my goal. That was what I wanted. So trying to recreate those scenes, trying to recreate those styles, has always been something I wanted to emulate growing up. Comic books, though, were also a really big influencer as far as my style, where your Jim Lee's, Scott Campbell's, Joe Madureira's, just those artists, always struck a chord with me, and it was always something that, hey, I think I can draw this. So I take my Superman, Death of Superman comic out here, and I just get my big sketch pad out and see if I could replicate, the panels that I saw. And then it got from trying to replicate the panels that I saw to actually, well, let me see if I can do this without looking, and then trying to break it down how the artist saw it. So I don't know. I guess I'm thinking I have a style. What that style is, I fear, is kind of checking out at the moment. But usually I try to lend towards the like I said, the Disney / comic book, towards more detail than you would normally see in a Disney animated movie, but not as much detail as you would see in like a Jim Lee, comic panel kind of deal. So just a nice little happy medium.
Very cool. Very cool. So you were doing that just on your own before, and then you started getting into the Twitch communities. Now, I first learned about you through Maximilian, dude, seeing your art through there, and then seeing you on the kind of funny stuff, it just, I don't know why, just blew my mind. I'm like, oh my god, I know that guy from over there, and now he's over here too. What kind of started like you wanting to make pieces for Max or for KF?
So yeah, I'm a fan of both of them. So I'm not the type of person that just kind of like lives on Twitch to where it's like if everyone goes online, they have their person or they're on it for 8 hours. I'm not, to be honest. I'm more of the, hey, let's put a playlist on YouTube, whether it's podcasts or something like that, and kind of watch it from there. And I think when Third Strike was coming out, the re-release that came out for the 360, I started to catch clips of Max and the stuff that he was doing with video games, and then that transitioned into Street Fighter 4. Again, I love fighting games, so seeing someone as excited about fighting games as I was, because growing up it was always me and my friends, we play fighting games. It'd be Mortal Kombat all the time, Street Fighter all the time, but slowly that would kind of die up towards like I'm the lone trooper. So seeing someone else so excited about these games, it's like, oh my gosh. So I would sit there and I would watch Max and his streams when I could. Wasn't an always thing, but I would try to get that. But then it's kind of like, yeah, I think I can draw him pretty well at least. And then I would start to do sketches. I'm not the best person on Twitter, so I would post something up there and just, okay, it was kind of fun, and I would tag him. But then to have him actually react to it, and then seeing his community just explode on it, it's like, wow, that was kind of fun. I think I could do something better than a sketch, and then it would kind of add more to it. Always loved his assist me, so if I do fan art, if it assists me, it's like, well, if he's doing something that's fighting game that's Marvel vs. Capcom 2, maybe I can do kind of replicas of comic book covers. So instead, like the Captain America shield being broken, him looking down, instead of the shield, it was his fighting stick. So it went from there, but at the same time, I was also watching the Kind of Funny crew as they started when they left IGN. And again, I can't watch every episode, but when I can, I would watch as best I could. And it's just the mentality of just kind of hanging out, have fun, and just talking about games. It wasn't something that I have immediately around me, so it's kind of nice getting that aspect of it too. And then it just like with Maximilian, it was the same thing. Well, let me see if I can draw that, and then I do a little sketch. Oh, well, they're doing a kind of funny animated kind of thing. Well, how would I do that in my style? Well, they have these cutesy characters over here. They're kind of kiddish, so let me add them as kid. And it just kind of went from there. It's usually just sketches, but it's always nice, I guess, kind of getting validation a bit for the work, and even if it's just a dumb little sketch, hey, cool, someone enjoyed it. And that's usually what my goal is for my sketches, my drawings, my paintings. Like, did it bring a smile on anyone's face? Did it get a kick out of it? Awesome, that's all kind of deal. So it just kind of gravitated from there. So I went from that, and then fast forward to today, where I'm actually doing Kind of Funnies, which is their fun little comic strip. Which again, it was just a dumb idea. Growing up, I always loved reading Calvin and Hobbes, and the Sunday funnies, and it's like, wonder what happens if you were to just kind of do this, do a little bit of what Penny Arcade does. What would I do? And I was just doing that for fun. And then they reached out and said, hey, is that something you would like to do for us for a limited time? Sure, I would love it. And so it's just kind of very lucky. It wasn't because of anything that I did, but it just
Very cool. Very cool. And I mean, hey, you did something. You put things out there, put yourself out there. You made it happen. So congrats on that. That was very cool to hear that announced and to see the funnies. That's great. Now, circling back to the process, obviously you talked about the sketches. You talked about the digital side of things. You mentioned painting in this last answer. Is there a certain step that maybe you really enjoy in the art process?
So, I like the step between, it goes from a rough sketch to the near final one. I'm still, so a lot of this I'm still learning myself. I'm still trying to get better at what I do. And a lot of that stuff is trying to bring the energy that I have in my rough sketches and try to keep that energy as I make it a final piece. A lot of artists are really good at it. Sean Cheeks on Twitter, he is, if you want to see an artist that has motion in their drawings, he's the guy to check out. So for me, that step in between where it's like I have enough details to know what it is, and it's enough energy on there to where it's like, okay, now let's add color and try not to mess it up. So for me, that point is kind of what I like the most. Short of actually, hey, the piece is done. Here we are. Put the final bells and whistles on there, and did they like it or not? All right, let's see. So between those two would probably be my two favorite spots. The in between, when you're looking at a blank canvas, just by the way, when you're on there, I'm like, all right, I got to pay the forest. No idea how I'm gonna do that. And then you start putting like, all right, well let me put the ground down. Let me put some bushes and trees on here. Bob Ross makes it a lot easier than it actually is. And you look at it, and there's always a point with every sketch to where it's like, this is a hot mess. I don't know what to do with this. So it's like, all right, well, then I have to force myself just just focus on one thing. Let's focus on this one bush. Let's focus on a Disney castle. Maybe just part of the Disney castle. you know what I mean? So it's a process. For the most part, it's fun. It's very stressful because a lot of times it's how you have it in your head. It's not necessarily coming out, and then it's okay. how do I make it look how it is, how I'm thinking, and trying to figure out as best you can.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, that's always my biggest hurdle. It's like, I can picture it up here, great. What's happening right there? Oh, no.
Hey, can you draw me and my best friend out here? We want to be wrestling on here. Okay, well, I can do that. Well, how about you doing like a Macho Man elbow drop? Yeah, no, we just want to be commentating.
Oh.
Okay. So I'll do like the hard shot where you have the commentators, and then we want something more action oriented. It's like, okay,
right.
How do I do that? How do I turn this and make it interesting? And that's always the fun part and the super stressful part.
Nice. With your process, is there any skills that you want to get better at? All the time.
Everything.
Okay.
And anything.
Okay.
I guess still anatomy. I think that's for a lot of artists. It's just better at anatomy. If I can draw hands like Milt Khan, who former Disney animator, that would be the highlight. That would be the top of the mountain where like I have achieved. I've made it. I can draw hands like Milt Khan. That's not probably not going to happen at all. But that and I'm fairly confident with my line art and inking. I'm still kind of getting used to. So even though I've been doing it for a couple of years, still getting used to trying to give people the best version ink-wise that I can through Clip Studio Paint. I'm the guy that would, growing up, it was okay. Well, I need to learn how to ink and do comics just like the masters out there. So I would have my 11x17 board. I would have my drawing on there, and it would be me getting Indian ink, and we would ink it. And that is super fun. It's super therapeutic. And then trying to better at doing that, then transition that over to get that. But as far as, like I said, the line art, I think it's okay, but I'm still really trying to get better at painting. Trying to the mechanics behind it. I would like to one day be a concept artist for a studio. So a lot of that's just breaking down what's the quickest, easiest way to get in there, get out, paint what you got to do, and hey, cool, now you got a balcony. That doesn't look like trash. You know what I mean? So painting and then getting faster at that painting would probably be number one up there. Which I have a couple gumroads that I purchased. Once I'm done with my commissions, that's what I'm going to do. Is I'm just going to deep dive into that and then deep dive into more.
Okay.
Because I think it's cool that someone can just take their sketches and like, hey, now I got 3D model of it. I think it would be awesome if I could do that with Maximilian Dude, to where like I can set it up as like, hey, here's a 3D printed statue.
Right.
Merry Christmas. Or with the style that I have for the kind of funnies, just hey, here's a paperweight. It's just a statue I made in Zbrush. I know the basics of it, but it's a jump from knowing the basics to it to where like, boom, have fun. So, painting, so I'd probably say the painting and the Zbrush are what I'm kind of focused on right now to bring out my art game.
Cool. Yeah, Zbrush is an amazing program. I used
it.
So
cool. And
yeah, I went to college for game design, only a 2-year, but we used it right at the tail end, and man, like, so much fun just messing around with that. Like, I didn't make anything super fancy. Like, looking at my classmates, like, shit, okay, well. But man, I've always wanted to jump back into that program and just try it out some more. Like, I still have the textbook. Maybe reading that a little bit more might have helped, but even just tinkering around with it would be fun. But that's cool. That's cool that you want to tackle that. Very cool. So any big goals that you have for your art that you want to maybe try and work towards or achieve?
Big goals, again, would probably be to work for a studio. At the end of the day, like, I got a 9-to-5 job. It's great. It pays bills, roof over my head. I can't knock it for that. But if I'm being honest with myself, I would like to do this for a living. I would like to be an artist for a living. Nerf Alice, she was awesome and was able to take that extra step with her Patreon and was able to do that. So where now she can do that for a living.
Okay.
I'm scared. So I don't know if I'll ever get to that point to where I don't know if there'd be enough people interested enough in me to be able to do that. But working for a studio as a concept artist would be super fun for me. I still have aspirations to be an animator. So yeah, either something along those lines. It'd be kind of cool if I can say, hey, see that T-shirt? That's my drawing. That'd be really cool to say that. But I think long term, yeah, it would just be like I said, an artist for a studio, for a group, for a company, to where I can do that, do it for a living, and not have to worry if the lights are going to stay on.
For sure.
So.
Okay. And then my last question is, do you have a favorite piece that you've worked on? I mean, it could be numerous, yeah.
So I am super fickle to where it's like I will like one of my drawings one day and then turn around and it's like,
oh, gotcha.
What is? No, I do that, and that's why a lot of people are like, oh well, let me, I'd like to have, you draw me a tattoo, and it's like, do that.
Right.
Show me afterwards, or whatever. Favorite piece. So I'm pretty fond of the Disney Castle pieces that I've done for a couple people, to where I'm able to take that background and I have a nighttime setting where the castle's lit up in the purples and the pinks. I have a midday setting. That would be the Star Wars one I did for Mr. Hoops, I believe. That it's midday, and then I have an early morning one that I'm pretty happy with those. It's still, again, I think just with any artist, we're never happy with everything that we do. There's always something you want to change. There's still things I want to change on there, get better with the crowds that I have in there, but I think overall those are kind of my favorite set pieces on there. Though that's kind of around the time I felt that my digital painting skills were kind of getting close to where my line art is. So looking for the best way to do shadows in a piece, highlights, what's the best way to do that to where it actually looks like it belongs in the piece and not just a muddy mess. That's that can be an easy pitfall for a lot of digital artists when you're just starting out, to where it's you try to shade a picture, and I'm going to shade this apple, and it would just be darker shades of an apple of that red color, and not actually take into account what actual color does, to where, hey, you want to do a hue shift to where you want cooler colors for your shadows, or depending on what your background is, do you want to make it warm colors to make that pop as best as you can. So I think probably around there is probably, like I said, probably my favorite at the moment, just for, like I said, because I felt like my painting is kind of starting to come into its own. Still always trying to improve myself with everything. Like, I'll start a new piece, and it's like, it might as well have been the first time I'm doing it. It's like, how do I do this again? And then it's like, okay, no, let's break it down into pieces. But cool. I'd say those three.
Nice.
That I did.
Very cool. All right. Well, that's going to wrap up my topic, Josh. Really fun picking your brain about the art stuff. And yeah, if you ever feel like doing the Patreon, I know like you said, you're a little nervous about it. I totally understand that. I have the utmost faith in it that, with you putting yourself out there with the KF community, obviously doing the work you're doing there now with the funnies, you got Max's community, like, as long as you keep putting stuff out there, like, I think the audience is there for you for sure. So if you decide to go that route, I definitely think you do it. Best of luck, but you're crushing it now. So keep doing what you're doing, man.